Today, I'm going to show you, seriously, the fastest recipe for one of the most traditional Japanese, I don't know if you want to call it a snack or a side dish. I guess it depends on where you're eating it. So what we're making today is Daigaku Imo. And Daigaku Imo literally translates into university potato. If you are, if you've been to college, if you've been on a university campus, if you, especially here in the States, on weekends, there are usually like street vendors. This is way before like food trucks and things like that became popular. There would be like some local restaurant or some local guy that would have like a little cart, and he would make food that you can kind of like eat on the street. So when I went to college here in the States, we had like a local bagel guy who had like a cart with a grill on it, and he would like make you little bagels with whatever you wanted as your toppings, and he had like a huge menu, which was perfect if you're like, going out to the clubs on the weekends. Daigaku Imo in Japan is something that has been around for a few hundred years, and it was started, the rumor is, it was started by a restaurant near a lot of the Japanese, kind of like the Ivy League of Japan, so like Tokyo University, Waseda University, like those kinds of things. And they would make these purple Japanese Satsumaimo. And Satsumaimo is a sweet potato that is very, very different from an American yam or an American sweet potato, in that the flesh is white, even though the skin outside is purple. It is sweet when roasted or baked or cooked, and is a little bit drier than American sweet potatoes. So you can actually boil them and it still comes out super, super steamy and yummy. But the traditional method used to be that there used to be like a street vendor with all these like Satsumaimo in his cart, and it would just be roasting over coals, and he would just go up and down the streets and with his little bugle and announce that he has hot, fresh, roasted sweet potatoes ready to go, and you would just get them in like a wrapped up piece of newspaper and just kind of munch on it on the street. And then to elevate the yakiimo thing, a local restaurant decided to kind of caramelize it and turn it into a sweet snack that's also high in fiber. And because it was served and given out to like university kids, it just kind of got the nickname Daigaku Imo, or university potato, and the name stuck. But seriously, it is one of the easiest things to make at home. All you need is a rice cooker. So we take one potato. As you know, all my recipes are kind of meant for like one or two people tops, and this is something that can be served as a side dish or as a midday snack by yourself. So one potato is enough. You don't need to peel these. There's definitely plenty of nutrients on the outside, and leaving the skin on is a different kind of texture as well. So what you want to do is cut your sweet potato into a little bit larger than bite size. You see what I mean? It's like this kind of slightly pale yellow, golden flesh, but it's very different from like the orangey sweet potatoes that you see, or the white yams that you see here. It looks similar to a yam, but it's a little bit drier than an American yam. So let's put these into just kind of rough pieces. And obviously, when you get them at the store, you take them home, you just want to wash them thoroughly. And once you have cut these, you want to soak them in a bowl of water for about half an hour. And that just kind of gets rid of, in Japan we call it aku, and we've referred to it as kind of the same kind of stuff that comes up when you boil meats, like the kind of, I don't know, I don't want to call it dirt or toxins or anything like that, but a professional chef would be able to tell you what it is that comes up. But you know that foam that comes up that you've got to kind of spoon away, that comes up at the top of a boil of like boiled meats and things like that when you like make a stew. You're not really going to be boiling these, but by soaking them in cold water for about half an hour, it removes a lot of the impurities. I guess that's what it is impurities. So put these in a bowl, and I will add some water to this from the sink, and I will be back in about half an hour and we will take the next step. So it's been half an hour and I've had my Japanese Satsumaimo, my Japanese sweet potatoes, soaking. If you have a hard time finding Japanese sweet potatoes at your local market, I'm not surprised. It's definitely something that is more popular in like the larger metropolitan cities with the larger Japanese population. My local market here sells them every once in a while, and each single one of them is wrapped in saran wrap, and it's like $4 or $5 per sweet potato. But I think back home it's not quite so expensive. If you can't find Japanese sweet potatoes at home, you can try making them with I would use a yam rather than a sweet potato, and I would try to find like one of those like those white flesh potatoes, even if the skin color on the outside is a little bit different. As long as you're looking for something that's not super soft, you want something that has some meat to it, if that makes sense. But anyway, so once you've soaked this for about half an hour, you can totally tell like the water is a little bit cloudy here. And that just means that some of the starch has come off. Did research. The starch has come off, and that's actually going to make this a little bit easier to digest. Once this has soaked, you're going to just basically blot this dry. Just to get rid of the starchy water that was in. And it goes right into the bowl that goes into my rice cooker. I'm thinking of actually starting like a short rice cooker series because it's such a versatile cooking utensil. I guess that would be called a utensil. And so much of it is just kind of like set it and, I don't want to be Ron Popeil, but like set it and forget it. But it is super, super easy to have as a kitchen tool because you don't need to like be sitting over a pot for hours. Traditionally, Daigaku Imo is made over an open flame with a frying pan and a lid. And what you do is you add the ingredients that I'll be adding in a minute. And you basically slow broil them, bake them, braise them in this sweet and salty liquid. And the outside gets super crunchy and the inside gets super soft and fluffy. But I found that trying to do this over an open flame, one, you use a lot more oil doing it that way. And you also have to like be sitting on top of, sitting in front of a fire for like the whole time that it takes to make this. A rice cooker is going to be your best friend for recipes like this. So, okay, now that we have our bowl of cut up sweet potatoes, the ingredient list is super simple. If you've done a few of my other recipes, you know that there's certain specific pantry staples that we always have in the Japanese kitchen, and so we're going to be using some of those. We're going to start with half a tablespoon. Oh, that's a teaspoon. Half a tablespoon of soy sauce. Half a tablespoon of mirin, which is your sweetened sake, kind of like a cooking sherry, but the Japanese version, if that makes sense. And a half tablespoon of sugar, just regular sugar. I just happen to have what is the sugar that I am using? Just a regular kind of like unbleached white sugar, but you can use regular white sugar if that's what you have in your pantry. To that, we're going to add a full tablespoon of honey because we are looking for that kind of shiny glazed exterior, and honey is perfect for that. It's better than straight up sugar, and I wouldn't use corn syrup. And I'm actually using an orange blossom honey today, and I think that slightly citrusy flavor goes really well with the sweet potatoes. This is traditionally a like a fall or winter dish, but you can kind of enjoy it year round. And then we're going to add a pat of butter. So I would say this is about half a tablespoon. And if you would like to add a little bit of extra salt, you can sprinkle just a pinch of salt to this before you cook it. I tend to like to keep the salt out because I already have soy sauce in it, but I will sprinkle a little bit of salt right before I eat it because I like that salty flavor, but I don't necessarily want it in all of my my potato bits, like all the way inside. And I think it kind of cuts down on the amount of salt I take in. So there's no real need to kind of toss this because once you put this into the rice cooker, it ends up steaming because it's kind of a pressure cooker, right? And this goes into your rice cooker like this. And you basically just close it. And rice cookers, Japanese electric rice cookers have a lot of different settings that range from, you know, regular white to rinse-free to sushi rice to more of a porridge. If you've seen my risotto-inspired Japanese mushroom porridge, you'll see that I actually use the porridge setting for that. And brown rice, because all these rices cook at different temperatures and need different cooking speeds and cooking temperatures. And so, you know, it's a marvel of Japanese technology. This is actually going to cook just like you would cook regular white rice. It's just a standard original setting. Set it, forget it. We'll be back in about 40 minutes. The sweet potatoes have cooked in the rice cooker. Just set that button and just waited until it beeped at me. It took about 40 minutes, which is kind of like the same amount of time it would take to make a serving of rice in a rice cooker. So it actually gives you the time away from your stove to go and make other dishes. But it does use up your rice cooker. So if you're actually making rice for your dinner, I don't know if that means you need a second rice cooker. I don't know. I usually have leftover rice, so I just usually warm that up. Or because this is a snack, I do kind of tend to eat it by itself. Or like most Japanese kitchens, I will make this in advance and then just put it in the fridge and then set it out to get to room temperature before I enjoy it with my meal. So this is something that can be enjoyed with as a side dish for a full meal with other dishes. You can enjoy this as a snack, as a midday snack. In Japan, it's kind of traditional not to do the whole super sweet candy bar ice cream thing. And this is a very traditional dish. It's old. It's been around, gosh, I gotta say at least a couple hundred years. So this is what it looks like when it's right out of the rice cooker. and well, let it cool so I can actually touch it. And basically, the the honey and the soy and the mirin and sugar all kind of get together and make this amazing sauce. You kind of do want to wait until it cools off a little bit so that you can actually toss this without the sauce becoming like this loose kind of, I don't know, almost like it's not a syrup until it cools off, is I guess is what I'm getting at. So carefully, because these potatoes are cooked all the way through, so they're super soft and fluffy. So you don't want to stir it up too much because then the whole thing will fall apart. So gently toss to coat. And you can see that that little bit of soy sauce, not only did it add umami flavors and a little bit of that salty flavor that then enhances all the sugary flavors as well. It actually also makes it look a little bit caramelized. So it looks, I wish I had smell-o-vision. It smells so good. What you want to do is just toss it with a little bit of just regular black sesame seeds. And this is the traditional way that it's served. You can, I guess, if you're out of black sesame seeds or you can't find black sesame seeds, you can use white sesame seeds, but I've never actually seen it traditionally that way, so I don't know. I think the flavor will be the same, but I think the look will just not be traditional. I have also seen modern Daigaku Imo recipes out there that omit the sesame seeds and use almond slices, and so it's more of like a Western, a Western version of Daigaku Imo. Either way, it's delicious. I don't usually have a measurement for the black sesame seeds because it's just kind of however you'd like. But just so each piece has a little bit on them, that's kind of the goal. And I'm going to add just a little bit more, just because some pieces don't have any. And then because I didn't add, I used unsalted butter and I didn't add the salt except for the soy sauce. I didn't add any additional salt, so I'm going to add a pinch of salt here. And again, coat carefully. This is, to me, this is way more delicious at room temperature than it is right out of the hot rice cooker, because that way you can taste all of the different flavors. So let me just put this onto a plate. Ooh, that's a good piece, like nice and golden brown. And literally while I'm talking, my mouth is watering, so I keep having to swallow my saliva, because I know exactly what this tastes like, and I know it's gonna be delicious. So then I'm going to put this aside and we're going to do a little taste test. It smells not just like sweet potato, which is already like this amazing kind of caramely smell as it is, but it's got like the little bit of soy sauce smell, and it's got the honey and the butter, and yeah, it's, to me, it's the taste of home. It reminds me of my childhood. If you go close to like Tokyo University, and some of the bigger universities in Japan, you'll probably find Daigaku Imo, as well as like, you know, local supermarkets in Japan. So Mm. Oh man, it's so good. It's mm. So because you're not using a whole lot of honey and a whole lot of sugar, it's really literally 1 tablespoon of honey and half a tablespoon of sugar for the entire dish. It's not overly sweet. It's not like a candy, but it's sweet. If that makes sense. It's man, if you like candy sweet potatoes, like American candy sweet potatoes, you will love this. This will be like the Western, the Japanese version, I guess, of candy sweet potatoes. I don't know. Maybe serve this at your next like Easter or Thanksgiving brunch or dinner and see if people are like, "What is that?" It's delicious. I can't say I can't say more. It's just really, really good. I hope you enjoy this recipe. It's so easy. As long as you've got a rice cooker. If you don't have a rice cooker, you could, I suppose, roast the potatoes first in an oven and then toss them in a frying pan with the rest of the ingredients just to kind of coat everything. Just so you get the sweet potatoes cooked through first. Or you can try the very, very traditional method of cooking and roasting and coating all at the same time in a frying pan. In Japan, you have these like big kind of like copper barrels that they kind of like toss and cook this through, and it takes a longer time, and you have to kind of be there and keep your eye on things so things don't burn. So if you have a rice cooker, give this one a shot. Thank you for watching another episode of Nakatomi Test Kitchen. I am your host, Kelly Nakatomi. I will see you next time.